Hello friends, welcome to everyone. Today we discuss about how to design of a knuckle joint. So first of all, we will learn the shape of a knuckle joint and its uses. After that, we discuss how to design a knuckle joint. So here is the different parts of a knuckle joint, and first of all we will study the parts individually. There are three main parts of a knuckle joint. This part is called double eye or forked, and number two, it is called single eye or rod, and the rest part is knuckle pin. Knuckle pin is attached with a collar called knuckle pin collar. Now we will look the different parts in different angle. Again we assemble together. Here I have made a model of knuckle joint with a thermocol for better understanding. You know, this is the double eye or forked, and this is single eye or rod. The single eye is inserted between the double eye so that all three holes are concentric, and the knuckle pin is used to secure the components. And the knuckle collar pin is used to fix the joint. Here we see the parts is rotate in only one direction or in only one plane while transmit the tensile loads. Actually, a knuckle joint is a type of pin joint that is used to transmit tension loads while allowing rotation in only one plane. The knuckle joints are often used to connect rods subjected to tension in structure, such as tie rod joint of root truss, tension link in bridge structure, link of roller chain, the rod joints of jeep train, and most commonly used in knuckle joint in tractor and connecting rods between locomotive wheels. We will go directly to the design part. First of all, we will draw a freehand sketch of knuckle joint. By dividing three equal distance roughly, we will draw three horizontal lines. Then we will try to draw the double eye or fork part. In this middle empty space, we will draw the single eye end part of rod. Then we will draw the rest part of fork. Later, I will discuss briefly how to draw this portion of fork. Then we will draw the rod or single eye part. This portion will be same as fork part. Then we will draw the knuckle pin as it is inserted into the eye of fork or rod. The line will be hidden. That means dash line. Now we will draw the head of knuckle pin, and next the collar of knuckle pin. We can see here it will be same and equal of the head of knuckle pin. Now we'll draw the rest part of knuckle pin, and you can see here the in front view it can be seen, so it will be firm line. P is the tensile load acting on the rod. For the rod of fork part it will be same but opposite in direction. Now we will give the dimension. The D is dia of rod, both rods. Now we will write the empirical relation at a time. D is the dia of rod or fork part. Both are same. D1 is the diameter of the pin and it is equal to D. That means diameter of the pin and diameter of the rod will be same in dimension. D2 is the outer dia of fork and it is equal to 2D. This is the diameter of knuckle pin head and collar, which is denoted by D3, and D3 is equal to 1.5D. D3 is equal to 1.5D. T is the thickness of single eye, and which is equal to 1.25D. T1 is the thickness of fork, and which is equal to 1.75D. T2 is the thickness of pinhead and also the collar, and which is equal to 0.5D. There was some empirical relation which helps to draw the fork and rod part. Diameter of this portion of the fork is 1.2D, and the length of the chamfering distance in this portion is also 1.2D. The inner radius of this portion of the fork is 0.6D, and the outer radius is 1.2D. The measurement of this portion is 0.8D. The rest part of the pin from the collar head is 0.25D. For the rod part, in this position, the thickness is 1.1D, and the length of tampering distance is 1.1D for the single eye or rod part. This is how we draw the freehand drawing, and also the empirical relation. Study this drawing thoroughly. The top view is also shown here on the upper part of this drawing. Before starting any design, you have to practice the freehand sketch and to remember the empirical relation. If we applying a tensile load on this rod, it can be broken from this place. As we know that the weak part is break fast, so we have to calculate the area that is broken from this portion. Here we can see that the area is pi by 4 disc. First of all, we have to calculate the failure of rod in tension. If P is the tensile load applying on rod and sigma T is the tensile stress, so area is pi by 4 d square, and as we know that stress is load per area, so sigma T will be equal to P by pi by 4 d square, and from this equation D is obtained. For applying the load on knuckle fin, it can be broken for shear stress. Here we can see that knuckle fin will be divided into 3 sections for shear stress, because for fork and rod shear stress will generate in two areas. That means double shear will be generated, and we have to calculate this two total area. First of all, we have to calculate the area, because you will see throughout the design this is very important to calculate the area, because once the area calculation is done, we will be able to calculate the design easily. And here we can see that the area is pi by 4 d1 square, where the d1 is the dia of knuckle fin, and because of the same area we have to multiply by 2. Now we will design the knuckle fin, and to design the knuckle fin we have to consider the failure. This failure is divided into two parts. One is failure of knuckle fin in double shear, where tau s is the shear stress, and tau s is equal to P by A. So tau s is equal to P by pi by 4 d1 square into 2 for double area. And from this equation, diameter of knuckle fin d1 is obtained. For the bending failure of knuckle fin, we have to draw the bending moment diagram. So we know that T1 is the thickness of fork eye and T is the thickness of single eye. For the double eye, here the load P will be divided by half, that means P by 2. And it will be act in this direction, and in the extreme end it will be 0 and then gradually increase. So it's generate a triangle, and we know the centroid of triangle is height by 3. So here will be t1 by 3. It will be similar to opposite part. So this length will be t1 by 3. Now we have to draw the other sides for single eye part. As here p by 2 load is applying equally, so this diagram will be a rectangular shape. Here we can see that the centroid along the y-axis will be t by 4. We see here this distance is t by 2. So the total distance will be t by 2 plus t1 by 3. Now we calculate the bending moment. Here we see that for this portion bending moment will be t by 2 plus t1 by 3 into p by 2. We see here the centroid along the y-axis will be t by 4. As the load is acting in opposite direction, then it will be minus p by 2 into t by 4. From this equation we get the finally bending moment is t by 4 plus t1 by 3 into p by 2. We know from the bending equation that bending stress is equal to m by z, where m is equal to bending moment and sigma t is bending stress and z is section modules, and z is equal to I by y. For the circular cross section, I is equal to pi by 64 into d1 to the power 4 and y is d1 by 2. So z will be pi by 32 into d1 cube. From here we can see also that sigma t is equal to m by z. That means t by 4 plus t1 by 3 into p by 2 and by pi by 32 into d1 cube. From this equation d1 is obtained, and we can cross check the dimension of d1. We will study thoroughly the bending failure of knuckle pin once again. Now we will design the single eye or rod part. Here we calculate the single eye end in tension. If we applying the tensile load on rod, it can be broken from this place. So we have to calculate these two area that is broken from this portion. Also we may calculate these two area instead of other parts. Both are will be same. Here Suppose we consider the length of this one area is x, so we can see here ax plus d1 plus x is equal to d2. So 2x is equal to d2 minus d1, and the total area is 2x into t, that means d2 minus d1 into t. Considering the tensile failure of single eye end, we can write that sigma t is equal to p by d2 minus d1 into t, where sigma t is equal to tensile stress and A is the total area, that means d2 minus d1 into t. And from this equation, sigma t for the single eye end may be checked. Now we calculate the failure of single eye end in shearing. If we applying the tensile load on rod, due to the shear stress between knuckle fin and a single eye end, it can be broken from this place. So we have to calculate these two area for shear stress. Also, we may calculate these two area instead of other part. Both are will be same. If we consider the dimension from center line and name the area is ABCD, we can see here that OA is equal to D2 by 2 and AB is equal to OA minus OB. And we know that OB is D1 by 2. So AB is equal to D2 by 2 minus D1 by 2. That means D2 minus D1 by 2, and the area will be D2 minus D1 by 2 into T. As the two area is same, so the total area will be D2 minus D1 into T. Considering the shear failure of a single eye end, tau s is equal to P by D2 minus D1 into T, where tau s is shear stress and A is total area, that means D2 minus D1 into T. From this equation, shear stress for single eye end may be checked. Now we calculate the failure of single eye end in crushing. Here we see that this portion of pin is inserted in the eye part, which is subjected to the circumferential compressive stress at the area of contact between the pin and single eye. And if the load P is applying on the single eye, there will be generate a crushing stress. So we have to calculate the area of contact between the single eye and knuckle fin. Study this figure thoroughly. First of all, where is crushing stress is generated. From here we can see that area of contact between the pin and single eye end, that is A, is equal to D1 into T. Considering the crushing failure of single eye end, sigma shear is equal to P by D1 into T. And from this equation, crushing stress sigma shear may be checked. If we applying tensile load on the fork part, we know that the weak part is broken first. So it can be broken from this place for the generating tensile stress. So we have to calculate this 4 area that is broken from this portion for the tensile stress. Here first of all we have to calculate the area. So the area A plus B is equal to d2 minus d1 into t, and similarly the area C plus D is equal to d2 minus d1 into t. So the total area A plus B plus C plus D is equal to d2 minus d1 into 2t. Considering the tensile failure of double I of forked end, that is sigma t is equal to P by d2 minus d1 into 2t, where sigma t is equal to tensile stress. From this equation, tensile stress sigma t of fork may be checked. For applying the load on fork end, it can be broken in this place due to generating shear stress between the double I and knuckle pin. So we have to calculate this 4 area for shear stress. First of all, we have to calculate the area for shear stress, and here we will calculate the all dimension from the center line. So the outer dimension will be d2 by 2 and inner dimension will be d1 by 2, and the thickness is t1. So the area of A is d2 minus d1 by t1, and the total area A plus B plus C plus D is equal to d2 minus d1 by 2 into 4 t1. Finally we get d2 minus d1 into 2 t1. Considering the shear failure of double I of fork end, tau s is equal to P by d2 minus d1 into 2 t1, and from this equation shear failure of fork may be checked. Here we see that if the load P is applying on the fork part, there will be generated crushing stress between the fork end and the knuckle pin. And we also see here these two portion of knuckle pin which is inserted into the double I part and which is subjected to the circumferential compressive stress at the area of contact between the double I and the knuckle pin. So we have to calculate the area of contact. Here we see that for double I we get the two area of contact, one is capital A and another is capital B, and the area of contact between knuckle pin and fork is A is d1 into t1, and so for A plus b1 the total area will be 2 into d1 into t1. So the crushing stress sigma CR is equal to P by 2 d1 t1, and from this equation crushing failure of fork may be obtained. Again, thanks to everyone for watching this video.